How are you guys doing today? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump into our disclaimer. However, before I do that, I just want to let you guys know the tone is different, right? There is a resonance of walking in your purest essence of truth of who you are, right? And that's okay because that gives you an opportunity to adjust where you're needed, to embrace where it's needed, right? To love where it is needed, to forgive where it's needed, right? This energy is different, though. This energy is asking you to tap into your softness, right? So, we've been talking about the divine feminine for such a long time. And it's kind of like we've been taught that the divine feminine only has to do with like females, and that's so not true. The divine feminine is an energy of intuition. It's an energy where you can explore your creative nature. It's an energy where you can tap into the connection of all, right? It's an energy where you can allow yourself to feel safe within yourself, where you don't have to look externally, right? The divine feminine energy is an energy where you don't need external validation because you understand internal validation is going to produce external verification, right? So we've stepped into this energy now where you're being asked to just soften yourself, to put your shoulders down, to relax and breathe. Uh, a lot of times we walk around with all of these labels and masks that we have to put on throughout the day, whether it's mother, whether it's principal, whether it's manager, whether it's father, whether it's pastor, whether it's, master at a Buddha temple. It doesn't really matter, right? So we've given all of these labels to the human experience, right? And we've watered it down with a lot of distortion, right? So while you're running around and you're going around the wheel of exploring outside of yourself, you don't even take notes sometimes to what's going on inside of yourself, right? Well, this is an era where you get to explore that. And you get to explore that at its deepest level, where you have to make no explanations, where you have to make no apologies for being your authentic self, right? We've been becoming for a long time. We're no longer in the becoming era, right? We're in the being era, where you're resonating from the frequency in which you desire to experience and have flow in and out of your daily experiences, right? Sometimes we look outside of ourselves for all of the grandiosities. I don't even know if that's a word, right? But all of the big things, right? The big things that you don't even take time to see the little things. I had a client this week that talked about how the universe have been sending her leaves that's shaped in hearts. Do you know how amazing that is? Because she's going through a difficult transformation right now where she's had to make some difficult life changing decisions. And the universe is sending her leaves in the shape of hearts. And let me just also say this, right? Whether you call the universe God, Source, Buddha, Allah, it doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter. Those are labels that we place on what this energy is. Because really, to be honest with you, anytime you utter, right, and put whatever this source of energy is, you put limitations on it. There's a beingness and an isness about this energy, right? It just is. Just like you can be in your isness, right? It just is, right? The trees don't have to worry about whether or not they're gonna bloom. If they're rooted and nutritioned properly, they don't look at their neighbor tree and say, "Why do you have, leaves pollinating on your branches, and I have yet to have mine starting to bloom?" Nature just understand that there's an isness to this, right? Nature understands that. So even when we see a rotted tree that may no longer even be bearing leaves as we see it, or bearing fruits as we see it. As that tree decays and fall back into the earth, it's creating nutrition for the other trees. It's giving life to the insects. It's birthing more life. What things have you been walking around lately with your shoulders up about? Man, when is the last time you put your shoulders down? I mean, seriously. I mean, really, seriously put your shoulders down. When is the last time you've done that? When is the last time you've looked at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you are worthy? When is the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and just realized and recognized that, yeah, you may have had your heart broken. Yeah, you may have been disappointed. Yeah, you may have been left out or left behind or not acknowledged. But look at where you're standing right now. You're standing right now in an opportunity for you to be able to choose yourself. You're standing right now in an opportunity for you to go deeper, where it's not so much about the external validation, right? It's more about the internal validation. It's more about you remembering who you are. You know, I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends a couple of months ago. This could have probably even been a year ago. And in this conversation, it was interesting because we kind of, realized that we've been doing and going for so long, but we didn't even realize what we liked anymore, what we enjoyed doing anymore. How far disconnected have you gotten from yourself where you don't even recognize who you are anymore? How far? How far disconnected have you gotten from self where you don't even recognize that it is in your imperfection that you are perfect? It's not that you're perfectly flawed. No, 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 no. It's that you're flawed perfectly. Let me tell you that again. It is not that you are perfectly flawed. It is that you are flawed perfectly. Because what we think of flaws are really just gifts and opportunities waiting for us to really see ourselves, right? Even if it's something that may not be so comfortable. This is a season of getting out of your comfort zone. This is a season of recognizing how powerfully amazing and beautiful you are, where you don't have to force anything into being, where you can just stand and allow the isness of what's already yours. Because what's yours is not going to miss you. Synchronicity is not going to miss you. And let me just tell you this, right? Because this is a lie. So let's get rid of this lie, and this lie needs to be really buried so it can bear fruit, right? It needs to be reprogrammed or debugged. Okay. And the lie is that opportunity only comes around once in a lifetime. That's a lie. That's a lie. Opportunity does not only come once in a lifetime, opportunity comes with every breath that you take. Opportunity comes with every time that you acknowledge and be in the presence of awareness of yourself without judgment. Opportunity comes when you are not judging others. Opportunity comes when you can see you don't need to force anything. Opportunity comes when you realize that life is constantly full of opportunity on a daily basis. And you want to know how you can verify that opportunity comes on a daily basis? Your breath. Every breath in and every exhale out is an opportunity. Every breath in and every exhale out gives you an opportunity to make a different decision, to make a different choice, maybe to pivot if you need to. Right? Like, we don't have to get stuck anymore validating other people's opinion, other people's thoughts about us. Like, let's be for real here. Like, at this stage, if you found this video, okay, no matter where you are in your walk, you're tired. You're tired of wearing masks and pretending to be somebody that you're not. Shit, some of you has just began the process to figure out who you are because you've been in someone else's shadow and trying to work out someone else's perception of who you truly are. right? Instead of really tapping into who you truly are, a lot of us had learned to tap in more to who others need us to be. There is something so freeing when you begin to really love yourself wholeheartedly, being flawed perfectly, right? You realize even the parts of you that may be off-putting to some, right? Or the parts of you that may be warm and fun to some, right? The parts of you that you may find off-putting to some people value that part of you. The parts of you that some people may value, some people don't value that part of you because that's not as important to them, right? So some people value your presence when they really need you and they just need you to listen so they can vent, right? That's the type of loyalty. So no matter what I'm going through, you're there. I'm not asking for your money, right? I'm not even asking for your advice in some moments. I just want somebody to be there to hear me just vent and maybe work the side of my head. So some people value that more, right? And then you got some people that value more of what you can do for them, how you can show up financially, how you can show up emotionally, how you can show up mentally to fix and solve the problems that they're not willing to do, right? My question is though, how are you valuing yourself? How are you validating yourself? This is not a season for external validation. This is a season for internal validation. So external experiences can become your verification. What stones, what pebbles are you dropping in the water? What waves are you sending out? Because you are now the resonance of that in which you seek. You're no longer seeking on this journey. You're no longer becoming on this journey. Not in this energy, in this era. You are. It's the isness. The isness in you is. And what is supposed to be for you is not going to miss you. It's not going to miss you. I promise you, it's not going to miss you. That's universal law. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And the paradox of that is we are all students and teachers. You are your own guru. You are your own master. You are your own confidant. You are your own magician. You are your own first love. Remember your first love or who you taught was your first love? Remember what first love felt like or what they call puppy love? Remember what that felt like? You are your first love. You know, we've talked about loving with conditions and loving without conditions, and we talked about how loving with conditions could be transactional, it can be controlling, right? Unconditional love doesn't force anything, it allows you the freedom to be. It gives from a space of understanding that we all have this path to walk, and the path is different for all. However, I will set my boundaries and I will reinforce my boundaries, not just for my safety, but also for your safety. This is a season where you no longer control your life from fixing things externally. This is a season and an era where you begin to quote unquote fix your life internally. And really, there's not even a fixing that needs to be done because healing really happens instantaneously. Okay. Healing happens instantaneously. So when you go to an energy healer and they're using the tuning forks, that even when you come and you get a Reiki energetic healing, that healing happens immediately. You know what? You know what's the process about? The process is about you getting from the space of mentally, emotionally, and then responding to that, even if it's responding in your body energetically to the healing. That's where the healing lags. It's not that the healing is not happening instantaneously. No, is that you're just playing catch up because healing is. There's not a place that you need to go for healing. Healing is. There's not a place that you need to go for wholeness because wholeness is, and all of this isness is within you. All of this isness is within you. So there's been some beautiful channel messages coming in, just not about what's going on in the heavens and the ethers and all of these different dimensions, but also my own personal walk and the walk of, a lot of you guys being able to channel the energy that's resonating on the same frequency in which I'm vibrating, right? I'm not searching for the frequency, I'm vibrating from the frequency. Just like you're not searching from the frequency, you're vibrating from the frequency. So you have already tuned in and tapped in. So now you're standing and you're being that beacon of light that you've been studying for years. See, some people think you dropped off the face of the earth, right? And you isolated yourself maybe because you were bitter, angry, or frustrated, but they don't know that you were in a place where you were literally in a crystal, it's like a butterfly, going through a transformation. Transformations are not always comfortable. Can you imagine like a butterfly trying to break out of the crystals, or what you make we call the cocoon, right? And it's pushing its wings that are barely strong enough to break itself out of that enclosed shell. And do you know if you go and you try to help that butterfly to break out of its shell, you can do more harm than good? Because all of that pushing and that struggling that the butterfly has to do and that flexing of the wing muscle, right, is what's needed to gain the strength for the butterfly to be able to fly once it exits the shell, the crystals, the cocoon. My love, I'm here to tell you it is time to exit the cocoon. It is time to exit the crystals. It is time for you to exit the shell. That time of isolation that you thought where you was just being kept from everything, that season is over. Because you see yourself now. You're not waiting for anyone to see you. You see yourself now. You value yourself now. There's so many things going on about different um, avenues within the spiritual community, whether it's an avenue of um, channeling different beings, or you can't trust the food, or you got to meditate this way, or you got to do it this way, you got to do it this way. Can I just tell you right now, the only thing that you need to be paying attention to is your intuitive nature and how it's guiding you to do things. I can introduce you to systems and I can introduce you to ways to do things, and then you can take what I've shared with you and then hone it in and make it yours and maybe add something else or pull something else or sprinkle something else in there. It's not about what I, Kamoy, says you should do. No, 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 no. It's about you, the guru in you, knowing that in which you're resonating on whether or not my resonance vibrates with your resonance, because truth is going to recognize truth, right? And I am here to be a validation for your truth, your internal truth. And I think I said that wrong. They just told me I said that wrong. You are here as a validation of your internal truth. And I am here as a verification of that truth that you're omitting from within, that you're resonating from within. So we didn't find each other by mistake. This video is not random. There's nothing random in the universe. When you start, listen, I have a fascination with numbers, okay? And I'm really just going to say, when I was younger, I was not the smartest in math. I didn't really like math. I loved history. I love history because I love to know how things unfold. And I was really good in English without even trying. Okay. Because I had a very creative mind. Uh, But as I began down my spiritual path, I fell in love with numbers. Okay. And the universe is numbers. Everything is coded. You can find numbers in everything. Mayat is numbers. Mathematics, math is numbers. It's feminine. And numbers are feminine in nature too. They can be masculine in nature. They carry dual aspect, right? You can tell when a number is masculine in nature because it's going to be very stiff, very straight, right? Not a lot of curves, like the number one, the number four, and the number seven. There's not a lot of curves in those numbers. Those numbers are very masculine in nature. And those numbers also operate on the physical plane, right? They dominate the physical plane, which is an egoic plane, right? So you can see those numbers may not be as flexible as the 2, the 5, the 8, the 3, the 6, the 9. You know, when you look at those numbers, they have more curves in them, right? There's a sacredness to everything. I mean, there's a beauty also to everything, including you, including you. So I'm not sure who needed to be reminded of that. Okay, now we're just going to go ahead and validate this message, right? We're going to validate this message within you. This is why you're drawn here. Okay, validate this message within you. Take that breath. Acknowledge that you've been seeking you all along. Validate that within yourself. Don't seek outside of yourself for that validation. And then what you're going to do is use this video as verification for that validation from within. These videos are just to verify what you're already omitting from within. So now that I've given you that channel message, we're going to go ahead and just allow the cards to just verify, right? Allow the cards to verify. Allow the cards to just verify. Okay. Okay, we're looking for the tone of this message. This is the resonance of this message. I cannot make this up. Then I just say allow the tone to verify. The tone of this message is 9. 9 is completion. 9 is where you begin to operate from all three planes. All three planes. The physical plane, which is your basic self. This is the practical self. This is your autopilot self. The soul plane, which is your spiritual plane. This is the emotional plane also, right? This will be your higher self. And then you have the mental plane, right? Your intellect, your thinking. This is a conscious plane, your conscious self, okay? Allowance is the tone of this message. We just talked about that. You just got to allow because the isness just is. You don't have to force anything. There's nothing to be forced. The only thing you need to do is recognize. That's the only thing you need to do is recognize. That's the only thing you need to do is recognize. When is the last time you've recognized you? When is the last time that you've pat yourself on the back? When is the last time that you've given yourself a pass for a mistake that you've made? I mean, how long have you been doing this shadow work, and how long do you feel like you've been walking and struggling, you know? And I'm not just talking about physical struggle. For some of you, the struggle has been physical, it's been financial, you know, but for some of you, the struggle has been like an emotional struggle, a mental struggle. It hasn't been easy to get to the place of allowance, the place of surrender, right? And some of us don't get to this place of allowance or this place of surrender until we are broken, until the heart is broken, until you get rejected, right? Until you get hurt, until you get put down, let down, right? So, how about I tell you, if you just choose to tap into you on a regular basis, right? If you just choose to tap into you on a regular basis, how about if I tell you the space of allowance is available to you? Because remember, we just talked about this. Opportunity is constant. You only miss opportunity because you think opportunity is not available to you. That's the only reason you miss an opportunity. The frequency of allowance invites us to be open to whatever comes our way without judgment, without opinion, without fear, without resistance. When we allow, the universe becomes our partner in the wondrous dance of existence and expansion. Can I just tell you, we're in the expansion part of the breath in this era, right? You're finally breathing out and allowing your shoulders just to sink in all of this wonderful goodness about yourself, about nature, about others, about others. Do you know when you get to a space within this walk, you don't have to judge others based on good or bad or evil or, or any of those things because you understand there's higher levels to this and it goes so way deeper than that and it's so much distorted energy. And if they only knew what you knew, if they only knew what you knew, because just like you, they were lost. Just like you, they've been programmed to think that this is the way that we need to move. This is the way that we need to love. This is the way that we need to exist. How about you breathe in and breathe out, and everything that comes into your experience is an opportunity, whether it's an opportunity for you to grow, for you to love more, for you to embrace, for you to forgive, or for you just to simply observe without judgment. Allowance is the tone of this message, and we spent, you know, so much of our lives, so much of our lives asking others outside of ourselves to recognize us. So much of our lives. We spent so much time, so much time. Let's see what the looping energy is. Whew, looping energy is balance. We've been talking about balance from since I jumped, like from since we reconnected, we have been talking about balance. And balance is important. I don't even know if you can look at these faces in this card. Balance is important. You see how frustrated they look? This is what happens when you don't tap into your internal balance, right? When you're not balancing yourself, you're going to call yourself into a place where everything is being judged. When you're balanced, there is no need for judgment because there is just an isness. And everything that you seek and everything that you need first has to be allowed internally, given internally, accepted internally, right? You got to drop that pebble. You got to drop that pebble. Drop that pebble into the water. And when you drop this pebble into the water, what is the intention that's going out in the wave? Because the intention that goes out in the wave is what's going to return back to you. And listen, it's not going to return back to you void. Your words, fueled with your emotions, fueled with your thoughts, fueled with your actions, are never going to return void. Positive or negative, it doesn't matter. They're never going to return void. The tone is allowance. You don't have to, man, let me tell you something. There's literally everybody for somebody. Hear me out. And the everybody for somebody is not what you think. The everybody for somebody is you or the you for you. And when you accept that you are you for you, then you can attract an external version of you at a higher level. So every time you heal and every time you grow and every time you expand, you gotta expand and attract in within that expansion, within that field. Balance. Set the boundaries that needs to be set. Stop trying to change people. This is not you can't save anybody, but you can save yourself. What roles have you assigned to the people in your lives? What characters are you playing? What is a character assignment that you've given them? Huh? What is a character assignment? So let's look at how this is unfolding, okay? Because I feel like it's unfolding through what you've committed yourself to. This is not a season to commit yourself to things that you really don't want. This is a lot of cards, but we're going to take them, okay? We're going to take each one of these because this is a lot of cards that jumped out here. It's time to make a decision. But we're not talking about making decisions from a place of fear anymore, from a place of, okay, um, I did it this way this time, right? So, and it works. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it this way this time. Even though your intuition is screaming, to you know, that's not the way to do it this time. How are you making your decisions? Some of you have come to a fork in the road, and the fork in the road is really about choosing you. Choosing you. You know, it says, my cup runneth over. Okay, love thy neighbor as you love thyself. So if your cup is not running over with love and you're not loving yourself, how can you love your neighbor? Do you see why we have so much corruption and brokenness and chaos in the world? Because people are out here trying to love their neighbors as themselves, and they don't even love themselves because they don't even know who they are. You need to make a decision if you're going to step into your abundance, if you're going to give yourself permission to have, if you're going to give yourself permission to receive, and you should, because the isness is yours. The isness is your birthright. What is yours just is. And it's not going to miss you. It's just waiting for you to wake up and realize that it is. Look at this. Look at this. Change and courage. It's time to take the step. It's time to be courageous. And courageous don't mean that you got to change everything overnight. Sometimes courageous is just stepping out of your comfort zone. I can't make this up. What are you clinging to? Stop notice the past. What are you clinging to that makes you comfortable from the past? What are you not allowing to flow out with ease? Because this is a season of ease, right? This is a season of ease. Are some of you waiting for an apology before you can forgive somebody? Do some of you need to apologize and forgive yourself? Let me just explain sometimes. Sometimes, the closure that you seek, you got to give that to yourself. Are you reflecting? Are you looking at yourself? Or are you looking at other people? Well, I can't forgive you because you didn't say you're sorry. Well, you said you were sorry, but it didn't even sound genuine. Energetically, you can tell when somebody means it or not, but do you need them to energetically be sorry for you to be able to move on? So even if someone apologizes, but you know that the apology was not genuine, like why apologize? This is a season of reflection. This is how this is unfolding. This is unfolding as reflection and projection, and it's unfolding within the relationships in your life. This is how this whole. Let me explain something. The quasi error energy is all about mirroring energy. Okay, it's about mirroring energy, y'all. Breakthroughs are happening, and the breakthrough's not happening externally first. It's happening internally, where you're getting an epiphany about who you really are. about why you're really here. Whether this is a video game, because we're in a simulation, whether we're in the matrix, whether there's a heaven and an earth, whether nirvana, it doesn't matter. Because at the highest level of this, you understand that there's an isness there. And you're not disconnected from that isness. So whatever that source is, if we call it God, Allah, Buddha, my higher self, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you feel. What matters is how your body is reacting to the energy when you walk into a room. It matters how your body is reacting to a person when you're having a conversation. It matters when your body's reacting to you when you look at yourself in the mirror. All of that matters. What matters is an energy that you cannot physically pick up and move, but you can feel. That you may not be able to see with your natural eyes, in this 3D realm, but you can see that there's something more. There's an is there, although you may not be able to articulate what that is yet. Let me give you a clue. You're remembering you are this isness. You are the beauty in which you seek. You are the love in which you seek. You are the understanding in which you seek. You are the nurturing in which you seek. And this is not just a feminine or female thing, right? The feminine divine energy is about that, nurturing you, remembering who you really are, right? Tapping into your self worth, having no expectations for anyone outside of yourself. Only expectation that you need to know is that the universe, source, God, whatever you call it, that is that's there, that is that's present, got you. You don't have to have everything figured out. You don't have to be blemishless of mistakes and not made mistakes and not have done things to hurt other people. Come on, like who on this earth has not hurt somebody, whether it was intentionally or not? Like ain't none of us walking. Come on now. Be present with yourself and stay in gratitude. Your self-worth depends on it. Right? There's so much energy moving in and out that it's easy for you to get caught up. Okay. This is why it's important for you to stay grounded. Turn off the TV. I was walking around here today with just nothing, y'all. No TV, no radio, no background. And it was just beautiful. This is what you need to know to navigate all of this energy. We talked about this yesterday. It's harvest time. And within harvest time, you know what happens? Okay. The grapes is not just going to come off of the vines and land on the table, honey. You're going to have to go out in that vineyard and pick them grapes. The wine is not just going to land in a wine bottle. No, 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 no. You got to go ferment the wine. You got to go add the ingredients for the fermentation process, right? That's what harvest time is. You still have work to do in harvest time. It ain't time to eat yet. It's time to go out and collect. Regret and repression. Air energy. It's harvest time. All right, we're going to clarify the regret and the repression. And I feel like it's harvest time. We are in a season where you're no longer standing in regret. You're no longer repressing yourself. You're no longer listening to other people's opinions about you. You're no longer listening to people's lies about you. You're no longer standing in people's expectations of how you should feel, what you should do, when you should do it, how you should be. You're no longer wearing masks that other people have made for you. You're no longer wearing labels that other people have created for you. Shit, you're bursting out of the labels that you've created for yourself. And this is all happening first within your thinking. There's something that was unfolded within this past year or two where a lot of you have been really working on yourselves, like paying attention to your thoughts, paying attention to what people say, paying attention to how people see you. There's been a lot of introspective work going on within the past year or two. Air energy represents Gemini, which is communication. Libra energy represents balance. Aquarius energy represents that inner knowing, the quality to be uniquely yourself and to stand on that and rebelling against anyone really that's telling you that you can't really be who you are. It's imperative in this Aquarian age for you to genuinely be who you are because the world needs you as you, not who the world, not who the family members say you should be, not what social constructs say you should be, not what religious dogmas say you should be. Spirituality has kind of lost its way because it's become like this whole religious aspect. Spirituality was always in the essence of being able to tap into the divine within you, your intuitive nature. But we're getting back to the true essence of resonance within what true spirituality really means. True spirituality has to do with you, my love, recognizing everything you need is in you. No more limiting thoughts about regret, repression, right? No more self sabotage and guilt feelings. Stay present, live in gratitude. This is how you're navigating this. Pay attention to your thoughts. Navigating this energy and bringing in balance is paying attention to you. What do you feel like in the morning? What do you feel like after a workout? What do you feel like after a stressed day? What do you feel like after a stressed meeting? What do you feel like after that conversation with your husband? What do you feel like after that conversation with the kids? Like tap into you. Be present with you. But always from a place of knowing that you have everything that you need within that moment. Synchronicity is a real thing. Okay. And synchronicity just does not work on positive things. It also works on what we may consider to be negative things. Synchronicity is going to meet you where you are vibrating at. So if you're vibrating at I'm not enough, synchronicity is going to meet you at giving you experiences where you don't think you're enough. But if you're vibrating on I am already enough, synchronicity is going to meet you with experiences that verifies, not validate, but verifies you're enough because you already validated internally. It's a beautiful, beautiful time for you to be in existence. Because all you got to do is allow the isness to be. Just sit in the isness. Because it really just is. All right, my loves. I love each and every one of you, my wonderful gurus. Okay, now you know the deal. You want to go ahead and do something kind for yourself because you absolutely should, my wonderful guru. Okay, and then you also want to do something kind for somebody else, not because they really deserve it, but because you can. Happiness is contagious, joy is contagious, bliss is contagious, forgiveness is contagious, acceptance is contagious. Right? All these beautiful things are contagious, just like the negative things. You just gotta figure out what state of mind and what energy you want to operate and resonate from. Okay. I love each and every one of you. I'm going to see you guys in the next transmission. Transmission is over, my love.